Hello viewers, in this video we'll look at expressing combinations in the form n combine r. So that's what we'll look at today. So we have our question which is saying express the following in the form n combine r, where n and r are positive integers with r less than or equal to n. Okay, so we have our part 1. So we have that is 10 combine 7 plus 10 combine 8 there. So that's what we have. So how do we express these two combinations in the form n combine r? Okay, so for us to do that, we're going to say this is 10 factorial. Okay, we're going to do it as if we are evaluating, but we are not evaluating. Okay, so the formula that we use, let me show you the formula that we use. So the formula that we use is n, that is combine r, that is equal to n factorial over, that is n minus what, r, then we close, then factorial, r factorial. So that's the general formula that we use. So applying the same formula that I've written, we have 10 factorial as n, that will be 10 minus what, 7. Okay, factorial 7 what, factorial, then plus that will be 10 factorial over 10 minus what, 8, then factorial 8 factorial. This is what we have. So we're going to simplify it as if we are evaluating. So on top we have 10 factorial over 10 minus 7, that's a 3. So factorial 7 factorial plus 10 factorial over 10 minus 8, that's 2 factorial, 8 factorial. Then when you reach here, you find the common denominator. Okay, and you always make sure that the first number that you have, if we can see this is less than this our second number. So this means that even here the order has to be the same, meaning that these two, it has to be less than what, 8. If it's not, then you switch them. That's what we do. But since here everything is just okay, so we can go ahead and find the common denominator. So we're going to have two common denominators here. So you have the first, that is 3 factorial, then here we have a 2 factorial. Okay, so between 3 factorial and 2 factorial, the bigger number becomes the common denominator, which is a 3 factorial. Okay, again between 7 factorial and 8 factorial, the bigger number becomes the common denominator, which is 8 factorial. Okay, so 80 factorial there. So now you start dividing. So whatever you have here, you divide it by this. So in short, you're saying you're just saying that is 3 factorial the denominator. Okay, then 8 factorial divided by what we have there, 3 factorial, 7 factorial. So 3 factorial and 3 factorial cancels. We just have 8 factorial over 7 factorial. This can be further evaluated. So you're going to reduce 8 factorial to 7 factorial. Okay, so 7 factorial over 7 factorial. That and that cancels. We have an 8. So you're going to multiply 8 times what? 10 factorial. So you don't say 8 times 10 factorial and record 8 factorial. No, we don't do that. Okay, because that number is it has a factorial, then this 8, it is just a number, so you don't multiply. So you do the same again for this part. So what you're going to do is you're going to divide whatever you have here by that. Okay, so meaning that we have 3 factorial, 8 factorial over what, 2 factorial, 8 factorial. Then here 8 factorial and 8 factorial cancels, so we have 3 factorial over 2 factorial. So 3 factorial, you're reducing it up to 2 factorial, so it will be over 2 factorial, 2 factorial. That and that cancels. We have a 3. So 3 times 10 factorial. So that's what we do here. Then from this point now, on top, you can see that 10 factorial is common, so you factor out 10 factorial, meaning that we have 8 plus what, a 3, then over what, 3 factorial 8 factorial. So now this will give us 10 factorial, then 8 plus 3, that's 11, then over what, 3 factorial 8 factorial. Then now from here what you're going to do is we can see that 11 is a bigger number, so we'll start with 11, then times 10 factorial. Remember 10 factorial can be written as what, 10 times 9 times 8 times what, up to 1 there. That's how we can write that. Okay, so this will tell us to say since now we have 11 times 10, okay, factorial, that is over 3 factorial 8 factorial. Remember we have 11 times 10. 10 can be written as 10 times 9 times 8 up to 1. So you have 11 times 10 times 9 times 8 up to 1. So that can be combined and say this is 11 factorial over 3 factorial 8 factorial. So our answer becomes what? 11 combine what? 3. Okay, or 11 combine what? 8. So that becomes the answer. Then we have our part 2. So for part 2, what we have is 9 combine 3 plus that is 9 combine 4. So here we'll do the same. So I have 9 factorial over 9 minus what? 3. Then factorial 3 factorial plus 9 factorial over 9 minus what? 4. Then factorial 4 factorial. So now we have to evaluate this. So we have 9 factorial over 9 minus 3. It will give us a 6. So 6 factorial 3 factorial plus that is 9 factorial over 9 minus 4. 9 minus 4, that's a 5. So 5 factorial 4 factorial, that's what we have. Then here you are going to check. You can see that 6 factorial is greater than 3 factorial, and also here 5 factorial is greater than 4 factorial. So you find the common denominator. So between the first two numbers, you have 6 factorial and 5 factorial. So between these first two numbers, the common denominator becomes what? The bigger number, which is 6 factorial. Even here you do the same. Between 3 factorial and 4 factorial, the bigger number is what? 4 factorial. So 4 factorial becomes the common denominator. So again, meaning that you are dividing. So this divide by that. Okay. So I have 6 factorial, 4 factorial, that is over what? 6 factorial, 3 factorial. 6 factorial, 6 factorial cancels. You have 4 factorial, which can be reduced up to 3 factorial over 3 factorial. That and that cancels. We have what? A 4. So we have 4 times 9 factorial plus, you do the same. We have 6 factorial 4 factorial over 5 factorial 4 factorial. So this will give us 4 factorial and 4 factorial cancels. You have 6. So you reduce 6 up to 5 factorial. So to be 6 times 5 factorial over 5 factorial. That and that cancels. We have a 6. So 6 times what? That is 9 factorial. So on top we can see 9 factorial is common. So we'll factor out 9 factorial. Then we remain with 4 plus a 6 over 6 factorial 4 factorial. That's what we have. Now from this point now, what we're going to do is we have 9 factorial. Okay, that is times 4 plus 6, that's a 10. Okay, that is over now 6 factorial 4 factorial. So this we can start with 10, then we multiply that by 9 factorial over 6 factorial 4 factorial. So now that can be combined to say this is 10 factorial over 6 factorial 4 factorial. And now you conclude you have 10 combined 6, or you have 10 combined what? 4. So that becomes the answer. Then our last part, that is part 3. What we have is 10, that is combined 6, plus 11. 11 combine 6, this is what we have, plus that is 10 combine a 3 there. So how do we evaluate this one? So you start with 10 factorial over 10 minus 6, it will give us 4 factorial, then 6 factorial here, plus here we have 11 factorial over 11 minus 6, that will give us 5. Okay, so 5 factorial, 6 factorial, plus then we have 10 factorial here over 10 minus 3, 7 factorial, 3 factorial. That's what we have. So here what you're going to do, you're going to check. You can see that this 4 factorial, it is less than 6 factorial. Then 5 factorial is less than 6 factorial, which is okay. Then here 7 factorial is greater than 3 factorial. So here you switch those. So you're going to switch these. If you don't switch, you won't get the correct answer. So I have 10 factorial over 4 factorial, 6 factorial, and then plus that is 11 factorial over 5 factorial, then 6 what? 6 factorial, plus this is 10 factorial over, then you switch, you have 3 factorial starting, then you end with a 7 factorial. That's what we have. So now from here, now you find the common denominator. Okay, so you're going to find the common denominator. So the common denominator here, you start. So the common denominator between the first numbers, that is 4 factorial, 5 factorial, 3 factorial. So the bigger number is 5 factorial. So 5 factorial becomes the common denominator. Then for the last numbers, you have 6 factorial, 6 factorial, 7 what? Factorial. So here 7 factorial is the bigger number. So you start dividing. So this divide by that. So it is 4 factorial. No. So it is 5 factorial. Okay. 5 factorial 7 factorial, that is over what? 4 factorial, 6 factorial. Okay. So now this will give us what? So we'll reduce a 5 factorial up to 4 factorial so that it cancels with a 4 factorial. Again, we'll reduce a 7 up to 6 factorial so that it cancels with a 6 factorial. So that and that cancels, that and that. So you have 5 times what? 5 times 7, which is a 35. So we have 35 times 10 factorial, plus again we divide. So say 5 factorial, okay, 7 what? Factorial over 5 factorial, 6 factorial. So now we are going to say now 5 factorial and 5 factorial cancels. So you reduce 7 up to 6 factorial. So 6 factorial over that. So we have a 7 times 7 times 11 what? Factorial, plus then again you're going to do the same. So you're going to do the same. So you're going to say we have 5 factorial 7 factorial over 3 factorial, 7 factorial. 7 factorial, 7 factorial cancels. So you have 5 factorial over 3 factorial. So reduce that up to 3 factorial. So 5 times 4 times 3 factorial over 3 factorial. That and that cancels, you have 20. So we have a 20. Okay. So we're going to multiply 20 times a 10 what? Factorial there. So now we'll collect our like tens. So I have 10 factorial and this. So this part will be put together with that. So meaning that we have 35 open 10 factorial. Okay. Then plus that is 20. Then here 10 factorial. Then plus that is 7. Then times 11 what? Factorial. Then that will be over 5 factorial, 7 factorial. So now from here, what we're going to do is you are going to factor out 10 factorial between these two numbers so that you have 35 plus what? A 20 there. Then you maintain 7 open. Here we have 11 factorial. then you're going to divide by 5 factorial 7 what factorial. So now you have 10 factorial open, then 35 plus 20, that will give us a 55, then plus 7, then open, this is 11 factorial. Then you're going to divide that by 5 factorial 7 factorial. So now it is now from here now where we're going to look at the bigger factorial. So the bigger factorial there, it is 11 factorial. So you're going to divide 11, you're going to say 55 divided by 11, okay? So we have 10 factorial. So when you say 55 divided by 11, it will give us a 5. So you say 5 times 11, nothing has changed. So 7 open, this is 11 factorial, okay? Then that is over 5 factorial 7 factorial. So this will give us, I'll start with 11, the bigger number, then I'll say times 10, that's the factorial, then I'll end with a 5, then plus 7 open, then 11 factorial, then that is over 5 factorial 7 factorial. So now 11 times 10, okay, 11 times 10 factorial, that can be combined by that concept, so that can be written as 11 factorial times a 5, if you remember. Then here we have 11 factorial times a 7, then you're going to say over 5 factorial 7 factorial. So now this will give us, you factor out 11 factorial on top, then you have 5 plus what is 7, then that is over 5 factorial 7 factorial. So this will give us it will give us 11 factorial open, 5 plus 7, that's a 12, then you divide by, that is 5 factorial 7 factorial. So now from here now you're going to say start with a bigger number, which is 12, then times 11 factorial, then over, that is 5 factorial 7 factorial. So now that can also be combined, so I say 12 factorial over 5 factorial 7 factorial. So now finally now you're concluding, you have 12, that is combine 5, or we have 12 combine what 7, so that becomes the answer there.